The sunlight that morning felt different to Meera Kapoor. It felt like hope. At 68, she had grown accustomed to the gentle rhythms of her widowhood, the quiet companionship of her two-story bungalow in Delhi's Vasant Vihar, and the weekly calls from her son in Bangalore. But today, the light streaming through her French windows seemed to carry a particular warmth, a promise of change. Meera adjusted the framed photograph on the grand piano, her late husband Ravi, forever frozen at 55, smiling his calm, lawyer's smile. She traced the silver frame with fingers that still bore the indentations of her wedding band, which she now wore on a chain beneath her blouse. Today she would meet the woman who had brought back her son's smile. Ma, we're here. Arjun's voice echoed from the foyer, followed by the familiar sound of his keys dropping into the Chinese porcelain bowl she kept on the entry table. Meera's heart performed its familiar little leap at the sound of her only child's voice. She smoothened her peach-colored silk sari, checked that her diamond studs, a gift from Ravi on their 25th anniversary, were secure, and walked toward the sound. Arjun stood in the doorway, taller than she remembered, his arms filled with shopping bags. But it was the young woman beside him who captured Meera's attention. Ma, this is Ria, Arjun said, his voice brimming with pride. Ria, my mother, Meera Kapoor. Ria stepped forward, and Meera felt the breath catch in her throat. The girl was stunning, not just pretty, but possessed of that rare luminous beauty that seemed to emanate from within. Large, dark eyes fringed with impossibly long lashes, high cheekbones that spoke of aristocratic lineage, a smile that transformed her entire face into something approaching radiance. She wore a simple but elegant lemon yellow kurta with white palazzo pants, and her long dark hair cascaded over one shoulder in artful waves. Namaste, Auntie, Ria said, her voice melodious and soft. She bent to touch Meera's feet in the traditional gesture of respect. No, beta, no need for that, Meera protested automatically, but she was already charmed. The girl had manners. Please, Auntie, it's my honor, Ria said, rising gracefully. Her eyes met Meera's, and they were warm, intelligent, alert. Arjun has told me so much about you, I feel I already know you. And he's told me nothing about you, Meera said with mock sternness, shooting a glance at his beaming son. I wanted it to be a surprise, Ma, and I wanted you to form your own opinion without any preconceived notions. Well, come in, Meera said, ushering them into the living room. I've made lunch, all your favorites, Arjun, and I hope you're not a vegetarian, Ria. I eat everything, Auntie, and I've been looking forward to tasting your cooking. Arjun says your butter chicken is legendary. Over lunch, served in the formal dining room on Meera's mother's bone china, Ria revealed herself to be the perfect guest. She asked intelligent questions about Meera's charity work with underprivileged children, complimented the tasteful decor, the blend of traditional and contemporary is so seamless, Auntie, and listened with what appeared to be genuine interest to Meera's stories of Ravi's legal career. She's studying for her MBA at IIM Bangalore broadly, Arjun said, proudly squeezing Ria's hand. Top of her class. That's impressive, Meera said, passing the dal. What do your parents do, beta? A shadow, so fleeting Meera almost missed it, crossed Ria's face. My mother passed away when I was 12, Auntie, breast cancer. My father, he remarried and moved to Canada. We're not in close touch. Oh, my dear, I'm so sorry, Meera said, her heart immediately going out to the girl. No wonder she seemed so mature, so self-possessed. Life had forced her to grow up quickly. It's all right, Ria said with a brave smile. It taught me to be independent. And now, she glanced at Arjun with such open affection that Meera felt her eyes prick with tears. Now I feel like I'm finding family again. After lunch, while Arjun took a work call in the study, Ria insisted on helping Meera clear the table. Absolutely not, you're a guest. Please, Auntie, it makes me feel at home, Ria said, already gathering plates with efficient movements. In the kitchen, she proved surprisingly knowledgeable about Indian spices, correctly identifying the contents of various jars in Meera's masala dabba. You cook, Sola? Meera asked, surprised most of Arjun's previous girlfriends had been what Ravi would have called metro girls, more comfortable with takeout apps than pressure cookers. My mother taught me before she passed, Ria said softly, measuring tea leaves into the pot. She said a woman should always know how to nourish people she loves. I think she'd be happy, I remember. By the time Arjun rejoined them for tea in the garden, Meera was already half in love with the girl. As they sat under the ancient banyan tree that Ravi had planted when they first bought the house 40 years ago, watching the late afternoon light dapple through the leaves, Meera felt a profound sense of peace settle over her. This is right, she thought. This girl is special. Ma, Arjun said, breaking the comfortable silence, Ria has to return to Bangalore tomorrow for her final semester. But we were thinking, after she graduates in 2 months, would it be all right if she stayed here with you for a little while? Just until she finds a job in Delhi? Her lease is up and it seems silly for her to get a new place when we have so much room here. Of course, this big house is too quiet for one old woman. I'd love the company. Ria's eyes shone with gratitude. Are you sure, Auntie? I don't want to be a bother? Nonsense. It'll be my pleasure. Consider this your home. That evening after they left, Meera stood at her bedroom window, watching the streetlights blink on, one by one. She felt a surge of something she hadn't felt in years. Anticipation. The house would have life in it again, a young woman's energy, perhaps even the pitter-patter of grandchildren's feet someday soon. She touched the necklace at her throat, the solitaire diamond Ravi had given her when Arjun was born. You'd like her, Ravi, she whispered to the gathering darkness. She's perfect for our boy. If only she had known that perfection, like the gilded frames on her walls, often conceals what lies beneath. Ria moved in on a Saturday in June, the monsoon clouds gathering overhead like grey promises. She arrived with surprisingly little luggage, 2 suitcases, and a laptop bag. Is this all? Meera asked, surprised. I believe in traveling light, Auntie, Ria said with a smile. Besides, Arjun says you have exquisite taste. I was hoping you might help me learn to decorate my future home. Meera warmed immediately to the idea. Since Ravi's death 5 years earlier, she had poured her energy into maintaining the house exactly as it had been when he was alive. A museum to their life together. The thought of refreshing it, of bringing in new perspectives, excited her. The first weeks were idyllic. Ria proved to be the ideal companion. She woke early to meditate in the garden, always made Mira's morning tea exactly how she liked it, one sugar, a splash of milk, steeped for 3 minutes, and took over the grocery shopping, claiming it gave her a chance to explore the neighborhood. She's amazing, isn't she, Ma? Arjun said during his nightly calls from Bangalore. His contract there had 3 more months to run. I do, Mira admitted. She's like the daughter I never had. One afternoon, while organizing the linen closet, Ria found Mira's wedding album. Instead of politely glancing through it, she sat on the floor of the hallway, cross-legged like a child, and spent an hour poring over every photograph. You were so beautiful, Auntie, and Uncle Ravi, he looks at you the way Arjun looks at me. Mira sat beside her, the memories flooding back. We were very young and very much in love. Tell me about your wedding, Ria said, every detail. And so Mira found herself recounting stories she hadn't thought of in decades. The 11-day ceremony, the scent of jasmine in her hair, the way Ravi's hands shook when he tied the Mangal Sutra around her neck. That's so precious, Ria said, her eyes suspiciously bright. To have that kind of love, it's what everyone dreams of. In the evenings, they would sit together in the study, Mira working on her charity's accounts, Ria studying for her final exams. Sometimes Ria would ask for help understanding a financial concept, and Mira, who had managed not just her household but also Ravi's legal firm's books for years, would happily explain. You're so smart, Auntie, Ria said one night after Mira had clarified the difference between equity and debt funds. You should be running a company, not just volunteering. The compliment warmed Mira more than she cared to admit. At her age, people usually treated her like she was fading, politely but with an edge of condescension. Ria saw her as capable, intelligent, relevant. It was during the third week that the first odd thing happened. Mira kept her jewelry in an antique sandalwood box on her dressing table. It wasn't particularly secure, but in a house with a live-in maid and a security guard at the gate, she'd never felt the need for more. One morning, as she was selecting earrings to wear to a charity board meeting, she noticed her emerald choker was not in its usual place. It wasn't exactly missing, it was tucked beneath a pile of silk scarves in the box as if someone had hurriedly hidden it. Meera frowned, trying to remember when she'd last worn it. Had she been airless? At her last checkup, Dr. Sharma had mentioned that minor memory lapses were normal at her age. Looking for something, Auntie? Ria's voice came from the doorway. Oh, no, beta. Just being forgetful. I can't remember where I put my emeralds. The ones Uncle Ravi gave you for your 40th birthday? They were in the box yesterday when I was admiring them. Let me help you look. With efficient movements, Ria began sorting through the box. Within seconds, she produced the choker from beneath the scarves. Here they are. See? You probably just misplaced them. You have so much beautiful jewelry, it's easy to lose track. Yes, Meera said slowly, taking the heavy piece. But a tiny seed of doubt had been planted. She had always been meticulous about her jewelry. Ravi used to tease her about her military precision with her possessions.
She frowned, checking the date. It was a Tuesday 3 weeks earlier. She distinctly remembered that Tuesday. She'd been at the charity all day, then had gone straight to a friend's birthday dinner. She hadn't been near an ATM. "Ria?" she called. Ria appeared in the study doorway, a dish towel in her hands. "Yes, Auntie? Did you by any chance use my card to withdraw money about 3 weeks ago? 10,000 rupees?" Ria's face showed immediate concern. "No, of course not. Why? Is something wrong?" Meera showed her the statement. "This withdrawal. I didn't make it." "Oh dear." Ria took the statement, studying it carefully. "That's the ATM at the Khan Market branch. Have you been there recently?" "Not in months." "Could it be a mistake? Sometimes banks make errors." "Perhaps," Meera said uncertainly. "Or," Ria said slowly, "could you have given your card to Malini for something? Maybe she needed to buy supplies and you forgot?" The suggestion was plausible. Meera did sometimes give Malini her card for large grocery runs, and she had been particularly busy with the charity's monsoon relief drive around that time. "You're probably right," Meera said, though a nagging doubt remained. "I'll ask her." But when she asked Malini the next day, the maid looked puzzled. "No, Mem Sahib. You haven't given me your card since June. I always take money from the household cash." Meera's unease returned. That evening, she mentioned it to Arjun. "It's probably just a bank error," he said dismissively. "These things happen. Call them tomorrow and sort it out." "I will," Meera said. But the next day brought a crisis at the charity, a government inspection that required her all attention, and the mysterious withdrawal slipped her mind. 2 weeks later, it happened again. This time, 15,000 rupees from an ATM in South Extension. Again, on a day Meera had been nowhere near the area. This time, she went straight to the bank. The manager, Mr. Joshi, had known Ravi and had been handling Meera's accounts for years. "Mrs. Kapoor, how nice to see you," he said, ushering her into his office. "What can I do for you?" Meera showed him the statements, her finger pointing to the suspicious transactions. "I didn't make these withdrawals, Mr. Joshi." He examined them, his expression growing serious. "These were made with your card and PIN, madam. The system shows successful authentication." "But that's impossible. My card is right here." Meera produced it from her purse. "And I haven't shared my PIN with anyone." "Are you sure? Sometimes family members." "No one," Meera said firmly. "My son doesn't even know it." Mr. Joshi typed something into his computer. "The withdrawals were made at ATMs with cameras. We can request the footage, but it takes time. In the meantime, I'd recommend canceling this card and issuing a new one with a new PIN, and perhaps enabling transaction alerts on your phone so you're notified immediately of any activity." Transaction alerts. Meera remembered Ria showing her that feature on the banking app. Yes, that's a good idea. Back home, Meera felt unsettled. Someone had her card information and PIN, but how? She was changing into more comfortable clothes when she noticed her wallet on the dressing table. Open. She always kept it zipped. Always. Meera checked the contents. Card, cash, Everything seemed to be there, but the zipper was definitely open. "Ria?" she called again. Ria was in the garden, cutting roses for the dinner table. "Yes, Auntie? Did you by any chance go into my room today? Just to drop off the dry cleaning like always." "Why?" "My wallet was open. I always keep it zipped. Maybe the Malini was cleaning and opened it by accident? Or maybe you opened it this morning and forgot to zip it." The ever-present suggestion of her forgetfulness, Mira felt a flash of irritation. "I didn't forget. I'm certain." "Okay," Ria said calmly. "Should we ask Malini?" But Malini had already left for the day. By the time she returned the next morning, Mira had convinced herself she was overreacting. She'd probably opened the wallet to check for something and forgotten to zip it. It happened. Still, she followed Mr. Joshi's advice. She canceled her old card, changed her PIN to something more complex, not Bonnie Anev 1, she noted with a pang, and enabled all the security features on her accounts. For a month, everything was quiet. No strange withdrawals, no open wallets. Life returned to its pleasant rhythm. Then, in September, the real trouble began. The first SMS alert came on a Tuesday morning while Mira was at her yoga class. Her phone buzzed in her bag, but by the time she checked it, it was buried beneath messages from her charity group. It wasn't until that evening, as she was deleting promotional messages, that she saw it. Alert. 25,000 rupees transferred via UPI from ACXX4859 to merchant Ria Designs. She stared at the message, her blood turning cold. 25,000 rupees? Transferred to Ria Designs? She found Ria in his study, working on her laptop. "Ria, what is Ria Designs?" Ria looked up surprised. "That's my small business, Auntie. I design custom jewelry. I told you about it, remember? I started it in college to pay my expenses." Mira remembered now, vaguely. Ria had mentioned something about a side hustle, but hadn't gone into details. Why was 25,000 rupees transferred from my account to Ria Designs today? Ria's expression shifted from surprise to confusion, then to dawning horror. "Oh my God! From your account? That can't be right." Mira showed her the phone. Ria took it, her brow furrowed as she read the message. "Oh my God, this is terrible." "What is?" Mira's voice was sharper than she intended. "Someone must have hacked your UPI ID, Ria said, her eyes wide with alarm. "They're routing money through my business. Auntie, we need to call your bank right now." Her reaction was so immediate, so full of genuine distress, that Mira's suspicion wavered. "You think it's a hack?" "Of course. Why would I steal from you? I live here, for heaven's sake, and 25,000? That's nothing compared to what I make from my designs." Ria's voice trembled with indignation. "If I wanted money, I'd ask my father, or Arjun, or you." The logic was sound. Embarrassment washed over Mira. She was accusing this sweet girl that had become like a daughter to her. "I'm sorry, Beta. I didn't mean—" "No, I understand," Ria said, though she looked hurt. "It looks suspicious. But I promise you, I had nothing to do with this. We need to secure all your accounts immediately." For the next 2 hours, Ria helped Mira contact the bank, file a fraud report, and change all her passwords again. She was efficient, knowledgeable, and visibly upset about the breach. "The bank says they'll investigate and should be able to reverse the transaction in 3 to 5 business days," Ria reported, hanging up the phone. "In the meantime, I've disabled UPI on all your accounts. You shouldn't use digital payments until we figure out how this happened." Mira felt drained and guilty. "I'm so sorry I doubted you, Ria." Ria came to sit beside her on the sofa, taking her hands. "Auntie, listen to me. In today's world, you can't be too careful. You did the right thing by asking. I'm just sorry you've been put through this stress." The bank did reverse the transaction. The investigation, according to Mr. Joshi, pointed to possible credential phishing. Someone might have tricked Mira into revealing her UPI PIN on a fake website. It happens all the time, Mrs. Kapoor, especially to seniors who are new to digital banking. The phrase, especially to seniors, stung. Was she that vulnerable? That gullible? After that incident, Ria became even more protective of Mira's digital security. She installed security software on Mira's phone and laptop. She set up two-factor authentication on all her accounts. She even created a complicated system of passwords that she kept in a secure digital vault. It's for your protection, Auntie. With all your assets, you're a target. I just want to make sure you're safe. Mira surrendered to the care. It was easier than trying to navigate the complexities herself, and Ria seemed to know what she was doing. Over the next month, small things continued to happen. A missing gold bangle that later turned up in a different drawer, a discrepancy in the household cash that Mira wrote off as her own error, a charity donation that seemed larger than she remembered authorizing. Each time, Ria had a plausible explanation. Each time, Mira felt her confidence in her own memory erode a little further. Then, in October, Ria got a job offer. "It's with McKinsey," she announced, bursting into the house one afternoon, her face flushed with excitement. "They want me to start next month." Arjun, who had come home early to celebrate, swept her into a hug. I told you you'd get it." Mira felt a confusing mix of pride and dread. Pride that this brilliant girl she'd come to love had...
It started with the investment accounts. Ria suggested moving some funds from low-yield fixed deposits to higher-growth mutual funds. The statements became more complex, filled with terms Mira didn't understand. When she asked for clarification, Ria would explain patiently, but the explanations often left Mira more confused than before. "Don't worry about the details, Auntie. Just look at the bottom line. Your portfolio is growing faster than it was before." And it seemed to be true. The statements showed increasing values. Mira's net worth, according to Ria's reports, was higher than ever. But the cash in her checking account seemed to disappear faster. When Mira mentioned it, Ria showed her the spreadsheets. "See? Household expenses have gone up 20% because of inflation, and you've been more generous with your charity donations lately, which is wonderful, of course, but it all adds up." It sounded right. Mira had been donating more. The floods had been particularly bad that year, and she'd felt compelled to help. In November, Ria started her new job. She worked long hours, often coming home after Mira had already gone to bed. The household management she'd taken over became, by necessity, almost entirely in her hands. "It's just easier if I handle it, Auntie. My systems are already in place. You'd have to learn them from scratch." Mira felt herself being eased out of her own life. But when she tried to reassert control, she encountered resistance. One morning, she decided to pay a bill herself, the property tax, which had always been her responsibility. But when she logged into her banking portal, using the password Ria had set up for her, she found she couldn't access the payment section. "Ria, why can't I pay the property tax online?" Ria, rushing out the door for an early meeting, called over her shoulder. "Oh, I changed the payment method to auto debit from the joint household account. It's more efficient. Don't worry about it, Auntie." The joint household account. Another of Ria's innovations. She and Mira had opened an account together for household expenses. Mira had contributed the bulk of the initial deposit, 500,000 rupees from her savings. Ria contributed a smaller amount from her new salary. "It makes tracking so much easier," Ria had explained. "All household expenses come from one place. No more trying to figure out who paid for what." It did make things simpler.
But it also meant Mira no longer saw the individual bills. She just saw monthly transfers from her personal account to the joint account. December brought the holiday season, and with it, Arjun's proposal. He did it on Christmas Eve, in the garden, under fairy lights, with Mira watching from the living room window, her heart in her throat. She saw him get down on one knee, saw Ria's hands fly to her mouth, saw the embrace that followed. They burst into the house, Ria's left hand extended, a perfect solitaire diamond glittering on her finger. "Ma, she said yes!" Arjun's face was transformed by joy. Mira hugged them both, her emotions a turbulent mix of happiness and something else she couldn't name, a foreboding that sat heavy in her stomach even as she smiled. The wedding planning began immediately. A June wedding, they decided. Big but not extravagant. Traditional but modern. "We'll pay for it, of course," Arjun said. "My savings plus," he looked at Ria, who smiled. "Plus, my father has promised to contribute, and I have some savings from my business." Mira insisted on contributing too. "It's my only son's wedding. Please let me help." In the end, they agreed Mira would pay for the rehearsal dinner and the honeymoon. "A generous contribution," Ria said, kissing her cheek. "Thank you, Auntie." In January, Mira received her quarterly investment statement from her financial advisor, Mr. Desai. She'd been with him since Ravi's death, and he was the one person, besides Mr. Joshi at the bank, who knew the full extent of her finances. The statement showed something odd. A withdrawal of 1 million rupees 3 months ago. The notation read, "Client-directed transfer to joint account with Ria Sharma." 1 million rupees. Transferred to a joint account she shared with Ria. Mira's hand shook as she held the statement. She had never authorized such a transfer. She called Mr. Desai immediately. "Mrs. Kapoor, how are you?" His voice was warm, professional. "Mr. Desai, I'm looking at my statement. There's a transfer of 10 lakhs to a joint account. I didn't authorize that." There was a pause on the line. "But you did, madam. You and Miss Sharma came to the office together in October. You signed the transfer forms." Ice water flooded Mira's veins. I came to your office?" "Yes. You said you were consolidating accounts for household management. Miss Sharma explained it all. You seemed perfectly clear about what you were doing." Mira tried to remember. October. She had a bad cold in October. She'd been fuzzy-headed for weeks. Ria had taken her to several appointments. The doctor, the dentist. Had they gone to Mr. Desai's office too? She had vague memories of being in a car and signing papers. "Mr. Desai, I don't remember this." Another pause. Longer this time. "Mrs. Kapoor, are you all right? Miss Sharma mentioned you'd been having some memory issues. She said that's why you were simplifying your finances." The world tilted. "She said what?" "Only that you were finding financial management stressful and wanted to streamline things. It's not uncommon at your age. Many of my older clients choose to have family members help them." Mira hung up the phone, her breath coming in short gasps. 1 million rupees. Gone from her investment account, transferred to an account she shared with Ria. She went to her laptop, trying to log into the joint account. The password didn't work. She tried the security questions. They'd been changed. Panic, cold and sharp, stabbed through her. She called Ria. "Ria, I need to talk to you about the joint account. Auntie, I'm in back-to-back meetings all day. Can it wait until tonight? I just tried to log in and I can't. The password doesn't work. Oh, that's because I updated our security after that phishing attempt. I meant to tell you, I'll set up the new login for you tonight, I promise. Everything is fine. The account is actually performing really well. Ria, there's 1 million rupees from my investment account in there. I didn't authorize that transfer. Silence on the line. Then Ria's voice, calm, concerned. Auntie, we did that together. Don't you remember? We talked about how having liquid funds in the joint account would make wedding planning easier. You agreed it was a good idea. I don't remember, Mira whispered. Maybe you should rest, Ria said gently. You sound upset. I'll come home early, okay? We'll go through everything together. You'll see, it's all perfectly in order. But Ria didn't come home early. She came home at 9, exhausted with takeout food. Let's not talk about finances tonight, Auntie. You're tired, I'm tired. Let's just enjoy our dinner, and we'll look at everything tomorrow when we're fresh. Tomorrow became the next day, then the weekend. Each time Mira tried to broach the subject, Ria would deflect with concern from Mira's stress levels or with wedding planning or with work emergencies. Finally, on a Sunday afternoon when Arjun was out playing golf, Mira confronted Ria in the study. I want to see the joint account statements now. Ria looked up from her laptop, her expression patient. Of course, Auntie, but can I ask why you're so anxious about this? Because 1 million rupees of my money is in that account and I don't remember putting it there. Ria's face softened into a profound expression of sympathy. Oh, Auntie, I think you need to see a doctor. What? The forgetfulness, the confusion, the anxiety about money, these can be signs. My grandmother had the same symptoms before we realized she had early-stage dementia. The word hung between them, ugly and final. Dementia. I don't have dementia.
It's the donor records. Several of our major donors are showing reduced contributions this quarter, but our bank statements show their usual amounts being deposited. And there are some unusual transfers to an account called Ria Designs that I can't reconcile. Mira's breath caught. Transfer to Ria Designs? From the charity account? Yes, madam. 3 transfers totaling 200,000 rupees over the last 4 months. The notation says design services for fundraising event, but we haven't had any fundraising events that would require design services. Who authorized these transfers? That's just it. The electronic authorization shows your login, but the IP address is from a device we don't recognize. I wanted to check with you before I took any further action. Mira's mind raced. Her login. But she hadn't made any transfers. Unless... Ria has been helping me with the charity's finances, she said slowly. Perhaps she... Miss Sharma hasn't had access to our systems since October. You changed all the passwords and removed her authorization, remember? After that phishing incident? Mira did remember, vaguely. Ria had helped her secure the charity's accounts after the supposed hack of her personal bank account. But had she actually removed Ria's access? Or had Ria done it for her? Amit, can you send me the details of these transfers and freeze any further transactions until I can look into this? Of course, madam. I'll email them to you right away. But when Mira checked her email, there was nothing from Amit. She waited an hour, then called him back. His phone went straight to voicemail. She called the charity office. The receptionist answered. Charity for Hope, how may I help you? I need to speak with Amit, please.
"I'm sorry, Mrs. Kapoor, but Amit isn't here. He left about an hour ago and said he wouldn't be back today." "Did he say where he was going?" "No, madam. He seemed upset. He cleared his desk before he left." A cold dread settled in Mira's stomach. "Thank you." She tried Amit's number again. Still voicemail. She left a message asking him to call her back urgently. He never did. The next day, she went to the charity office. Amit's desk was empty, cleaned out. The executive director, Mrs. Sengupta, looked troubled when Mira asked about him. "He resigned yesterday. Gave no notice, just said he'd found another position. It was very sudden." "Did he say anything about discrepancies in the accounts?" Mrs. Sengupta frowned. "No. Should he have?" Mira hesitated. If she raised an alarm without proof, she could damage the charity's reputation. Donors might pull their support. And if it turned out to be nothing, or worse, if it turned out to be her error, she'd look foolish. "Never mind," she said. "I'm sure it's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. That evening, when Ria came home, Mira confronted her. "Ria, do you know anything about transfers from the charity account to Ria Designs?" "From the charity? No. Why would there be?" "Amit, our accountant, said he found discrepancies before he resigned yesterday." "Amit resigned?" Ria looked surprised. "That's odd. He seemed so dedicated. But, you know, Auntie, I never trusted that man. He was always asking personal questions about your finances. I wondered if he might be skimming." The suggestion, delivered with such casual conviction, stopped Mira cold. Skimming? It happens all the time in charities, especially with young accountants who aren't paid much. They see large sums moving through and think they can take a little without anyone noticing. But the transfers were to your business. "Oh, I understand now. He was probably using my business name as a cover. Set up a fake vendor account, route money through it to himself. It's a common trick. Thank God he's gone." Once again, Ria had an explanation. Once again, it was plausible. More than plausible. It made sense. "Should we report him to the police?" Ria considered. "We could, but without solid proof, and a police investigation would be so messy. It might scare donors. Maybe it's better just to let it go and be more careful in the future. I can help you find a more reputable accountant." Mira thought of the charity's vulnerable beneficiaries, the children who depended on their work. A scandal could hurt them most of all. "All right," she said reluctantly, "but I want a full audit of the charity's accounts." "Of course, I'll arrange it. Don't worry, Auntie, I'll take care of everything." And Mira let her, because it was easier, because Ria seemed so capable, because the alternative, believing that Ria was stealing from a children's charity, was unthinkable. But that night, Mira couldn't sleep. She got up and went to the study. She tried to log into the charity's financial system, but her password didn't work. She tried to reset it, but the security questions had been changed. She was locked out of her own charity's accounts. The realization hit her with physical force. She stumbled back from the computer, her heart pounding. This wasn't forgetfulness. This wasn't confusion. This was deliberate, systematic. She needed help. But who could she trust? Arjun would dismiss her concerns again. Her friends would think she was losing her mind. The bank had already been manipulated into thinking she was cognitively impaired. There was only one person. Early the next morning, before anyone else was awake, Mira dressed quietly and took a taxi to Mr. Desai's office. She didn't have an appointment, but she knew he arrived early. "Mrs. Kapoor," he said, surprised to see her waiting in the reception area. "Is everything all right?" "No," she said bluntly. "I need your help." In his office, with the door closed, Mira poured everything out. The missing jewelry, the mysterious withdrawals, the million-rupee transfer she didn't remember authorizing, the charity discrepancies, and the locked accounts. Mr. Desai listened in growing alarm. When she finished, he was silent for a long moment. "Mrs. Kapoor, this is very serious." "I know. But what can I do? Ria has convinced everyone, including my son, that I'm confused, forgetful, maybe even demented." Mr. Desai steepled his fingers. "This sounds like financial abuse. Elder financial abuse. It's more common than people think." The term was both a relief and a horror. Relief that she wasn't crazy, horror that it was real. What do I do? First, we need to understand the full extent. I can do a forensic review of all your accounts, with your permission, of course. But if Miss Sharma has been siphoning funds, she's likely covered her tracks. Please, do whatever you need to do. All right, I'll need all your account information, passwords, everything. That's just it. I don't have them anymore. Ria changed everything. She says it's for security. Mr. Desai's face darkened. Then we have a problem. Without access, I can't get statements directly. I'll have to request them from the institutions, which will take time. And if Miss Sharma has set up alerts on your accounts, she'll know we're looking. Then what? We go to the police. Mira shook her head vehemently. No, not yet. Arjun would never forgive me. And without ironclad proof, they'll believe her over me. She's young, beautiful, credible. I'm an old woman with memory issues. Mr. Desai sighed. You're probably right. All right, let me see what I can do discreetly. In the meantime, document everything, every conversation, every discrepancy, and try to regain access to your accounts. Do you have any old statements? Any paper records? Some, but Ria has been organizing my files. A lot has disappeared. Find what you can. And be careful, Mrs. Kapoor. If Miss Sharma is doing what you suspect, she won't give up easily. She has too much to lose. The taxi ride home was a blur. Mira's mind churned with possibilities, fears, plans. She had to be careful. She had to be smart. When she arrived home, Ria was waiting for her in the foyer. "Auntie, where have you been? I was worried sick." "I went for a walk," Mira said, trying to keep her voice calm. "To clear my head." "Without telling anyone? What if something had happened to you?" Ria's concern seemed genuine, but Mira now saw the control beneath it. "I'm fine, Beta. Just needed some air." Ria studied her face, her eyes sharp. "You look pale. Are you sure you're all right? Maybe you should lie down. I'll bring you some tea." The familiar pattern. Concern, then caretaking, then control. "I'm fine," Mira repeated, more firmly this time.